Before you capture or post your next photos from the scene, there are 7 things you need to keep in mind. If you're a public information officer, photography is one of your most powerful tools. A single image can educate the public, build trust, and tell your department's story faster than any press release ever could. But every photo also carries a risk. That's why before we talk about cameras, lenses, or composition, we need to talk about guardrails. This video walks through the 7 considerations I use every time I photograph an incident scene. I call this framework SPHERIC. SPHERIC stands for safety, policy, HIPAA, expectation of privacy, reputation, investigation, and censorship. Let's get into it. Safety is always the first consideration. As a PIO, you should only photograph from a safe location for yourself and for the crews that you're documenting. That means staying out of collapse zones, traffic hazards, and active operational areas unless you've been intentionally integrated into the incident plan.
I'm in the backyard of 576 Fox Hill. Fire's held at the path, but this would be your best access for a hose line from the street side.
After that. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and give you 576 Fox Hill. That's the goal for the time. Gates open, you can take your way to the back and get a view of what we're doing here. So far, structures are not threatened imminently, and we're catching ahead here. So.
Safety also applies to what appears in the image. Now here's the reality. I have never been on a perfect fire ground. Firefighting is messy, things happen fast. PPE compliance is often what draws the attention of keyboard safety officers online, and sometimes they're not wrong. The question becomes, is there more value in posting a photo that includes a safety violation than not posting it at all? That decision should be weighed with chief officers, especially if the image sets a poor example or contradicts your department's safety messaging. Common issues to watch for include missing Nomex hoods, no eye protection, no hearing protection, or no respiratory protection, and especially no gloves. Some safety violations aren't immediately obvious even to experienced firefighters and PIOs, which is why it's important to think about this before you even step onto the scene. Some, however, are very obvious, like this incredible photo I captured during an out-of-state fire buff trip. This firefighter displayed impressive confidence, and as a photojournalist, I was ecstatic. Had I captured this image in my official capacity of PIO, however, I would have been disappointed that I likely couldn't share this publicly. Next is policy. If a policy violation appears in a photo or video, it should be evaluated just like a safety concern. Does the storytelling value outweigh the potential impact to the organization? In some cases, images can identify patterns or themes that lead to policy enforcement or even revisions, but sometimes the issues are subtle. I have photographed firefighters wearing custom helmet shields and other apparel that violated fire department policy. One helmet shield wasn't something I noticed on scene. A social media viewer spotted it, was offended, reported it to command staff, and I was asked to remove the photo. That situation opened an entirely different conversation about public records, which is one that we'll save for another video. The takeaway is simple: you won't catch everything, but once a policy issue is identified, leadership must weigh the consequences of sharing it. It may also expose a policy that isn't being enforced, should be edited, or added to. HIPAA, specifically protected health information, is one of the most misunderstood areas of PIO photography. Whenever possible, I avoid capturing patient faces, names, government-issued identification numbers, including license plates and aircraft tail numbers. Yes, many of these things can be protected under the First Amendment, but if you work for an organization that bills for EMS, you are bound by HIPAA regulations. Even if you don't, protecting patient privacy and identity is simply good customer service. If someone calls 911 on the worst day of their life, they shouldn't later find themselves or their personal information on your social media feed. While on scene and feeling the pressure, especially from media asking for photos from a major incident, there have been times where I've asked personnel on scene who aren't actively involved in the incident to stand in a certain location and allow me to photograph the scene with them in the foreground. That is often faster than trying to shoot from a different angle or having to blur a license plate number or tail number on a crashed aircraft. Expectation of privacy. This consideration applies directly to the Fourth Amendment. I only share photos that were captured from public view, including sidewalks, streets, or other publicly accessible locations where there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. If I am asked to photograph the inside of a home, the inside of a business, or anywhere not visible from public space, those images are confidential unless I have express permission from the property owner to share them. I once responded to a house fire that was a textbook example of close before you doze. It would have been a powerful public education image. But when I asked the homeowner for permission to share it, they declined, and I respected that. Customer service matters more than getting the story element. Reputation is one of the grayest but most important guardrails. Some behavior can be safe, policy compliant, and still damaging to public trust. A common example is firefighters posing and smiling in front of a burned home or business. Even if nothing is technically wrong, those images can appear insensitive.
New revelations in the fallout over Detroit firefighters posing for a photo in front of a burning house.
Get this, City of Detroit officials say the picture was taken on New Year's Eve to celebrate the retirement of a battalion chief and that the house was vacant. But sources have given 7 Action News this clip of radio traffic with Ladder 13 on the scene talking with dispatch that the house was a total loss.
13 is unable to do a complete search to the structural collapse.
And this stunning communication.
Was that occupied or vacant, Ladder 13?
It was occupied.
That's received.
Sources say it would have taken several minutes for all these firefighters to arrive on the scene in southwest Detroit to get into the picture. It is burned into the family's memory of their gift to their mother.
Fire scenes attract community members, media, doorbell cameras, surveillance camera review, and what feels harmless in the moment can create backlash later, especially when posted on an official social media channel. Career milestone photos and company pride matter, but the best place for those images is usually back at the firehouse, not in front of someone's loss. When incidents involve potential crimes, investigations always take priority. Before releasing photos or video, coordinate with the lead investigator to understand what is approved for public release. Investigators view scenes through a completely different professional lens: evidence preservation, scientific process, and litigation. I once viewed incredible first arriving video from a multiple dwelling fire with people trapped. It would have been impactful for public education and for firefighter training. But investigators determined that all early arrival imagery would be evidence and not for release. Later, I learned that the details in this video, captured from public view, contained information that only the person responsible for the fire would likely know. When it comes to investigations, trust the investigations team. Finally, censorship. If you post photos containing sensitive information, your editing must be precise. Many PIOs use quick fingertip edits on their phone, dragging black markings over sensitive areas. But they don't zoom in far enough, and they end up sharing exactly what they meant to conceal. In other examples, I've seen PIOs use emojis to conceal identities, which is effective, but may not be as professional as other options like blurring or blacking out. Before posting, always zoom in, double check every image, look for text on screens, reflections, and identifying details about victims or witnesses. It feels tedious because it's important. Before you capture or post your next photos from the scene, keep these 7 guardrails in mind. The SPHERIC framework helps you decide what to photograph, what not to photograph, and what should never be shared. Once these guardrails are in place, you can confidently move forward knowing that your images serve the public, protect your organization, and support your crews. In a separate video, I'll break down the camera gear that I use, how I approach image composition, the settings I rely on, and the software and workflow behind the final product. If you have questions about fire department photography, leave them in the comments. Future videos will be built around what PIOs are asking in the field, so please leave your ideas in the comment section, and I'll see you next week.